Marriott Vacation Club just announced that you can now make reservations at the new Marriott Vacation Club property in Waikiki. Let's take a look at it right after this. Hello and welcome to Destination Timeshare. I'm Jeremy. Today we're talking about Marriott Vacation Club and the property that they actually announced quite a while ago that they're planning to open in Waikiki. Well, guess what? It's actually going to be opening later this year, and they announced just the other day. You can now make reservations using your points. Going online to Marriott.com to make a reservation for stays starting in October the 4th, in fact. As we go through this video here, I'd like you to think about, is this a property you would like to stay at? Are you interested? Are you excited? Do you wish they had built somewhere else instead? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. So let's go over some of the details of this property and what they actually announced. It's called the Marriott Vacation Club Waikiki, and previously they actually said that this was going to be part of their Pulse collection. That collection is actually a number of different properties. You have the one in South Beach in Florida, they have one in San Diego, one in New York City, also the Mayflower in Washington, D.C., and I believe one also in San Francisco. They have left one out there, not too sure, but you kind of get the idea. These are resorts or properties, I guess you could say, kind of in city centers, not your traditional kind of timeshare that you might be used to staying on the beach in Florida, in Hawaii, or fantastic resorts in Orlando, Palm Desert, Las Vegas, wherever they might be. And what they actually did here is, well, they scrapped that entire Pulse name, and they're now going in favor of the City Collection. In fact, for a long time, I was not a fan of Pulse. It was actually something they came out with in the mid-2010s, and I guess it didn't really resonate with timeshare owners, people looking to buy, and people looking to stay. So now they're essentially all just called Marriott Vacation Club Waikiki, Marriott Vacation Club South Beach, Marriott Vacation Club San Diego, and so on. No real mention of City Collection in the name. It's just kind of something that they're using to kind of group these together. Oh, and now I actually remember the other one. It's Custom House in Boston, a fantastic historic building there right downtown. We stayed there a number of years ago. Check that one out if you have the chance. All right, now let's talk about the property. When I went on MarriottVacationClub.com to kind of look at making a reservation using points, I saw essentially two room types. They have a studio, has a king and a pull-out sofa, and they had a one bedroom with a king and a pull-out sofa as well. And on Marriott.com, well, they actually have an additional room type. It's a one bedroom with two double beds and a pull-out sofa. Not really sure why they have kind of those two different one bedrooms on Marriott.com, but not available to book on MarriottVacationClub.com as an owner. So now let's talk about the size of these ones. Well, the studio is 548 square feet. The one bedroom king shows 580 square feet. So it's actually a pretty good size studio compared to a lot of other studios in the Marriott Vacation Club system. And then the one bedroom with two doubles, well, it's 602 square feet. And in fact, the points charts that they also released at the same time, well, those only show essentially one kind of one bedroom type. Probably the points are exactly the same. So maybe at some point down the road, we'll be able to see both of those when you're going to make a reservation. But I noticed I can only select the one bedroom with the king, in addition to the studio that was also there. One other thing to note here, the rooms don't look like they have laundry facilities. So you're not gonna be able to do your laundry, at least in the unit. And they don't really say anything about laundry facilities on site. I would think that there's probably going to be something, but we'll probably have to wait and see until we have a few more details, or until maybe somebody can go there and check it out, which probably won't be us, at least not right out of the gate. We also want to talk about kind of where it is. Kind of right kind of downtown in Waikiki, kind of actually right across the street from Fort DeRussy Beach Park. So it looks like some of the rooms might actually have kind of distant water views. There really isn't any buildings kind of really right in front of the property. So some of the rooms you might be able to see some water way off in the distance, but it might also only be not too long of a walk to get to Waikiki Beach. One thing to mention here when we're talking about the points charts, I noticed the dates on those points charts are essentially exactly the same as the dates for Marriott's Ko Olina Beach Club, also on the island of Oahu, where obviously the Waikiki property is. Now, one key thing here with those point charts, the dates are the same, but trust me, the point values are far different. And if we look at the point values, I'll kind of ignore the kind of holiday weeks right now. Those holiday weeks are kind of a higher point level, and those specific days of the week kind of have different values depending on where the specific holiday falls, whether it's 4th of July or whether it's Christmas. So just keep that in mind here. We're going to kind of ignore those, but looking at kind of what is the lower time of the year, they kind of have 2 times of the year outside of those holiday weeks. And one is kind of higher season, one is kind of lower season. So lower season, a studio from Sunday through Thursday is 325 points per night, and Friday and Saturday are 450. Now if we look at the 1 bedroom, well, it's 450 points per night for that Sunday through Thursday, and 640 points for the Friday or Saturday night. Now the higher times of the year, well, it's obviously going to be more expensive here. A studio is 375 for that Sunday through Thursday, and Friday and Saturday are 525. The 1 bedroom, 525 points per night for the weeknights, and then the weekends here, 750. Now I actually compared these to those essentially point values over at Marriott's Ko-Olina. Fantastic resort there on the island of Oahu. And these points, comparing them to mountain views at Ko-Olina, well, the studios are 45 to 50% more points. Now the 1 bedrooms, they're not quite as bad here because it's only about 25% more points to stay in Waikiki than in a mountain view 1 bedroom at Ko-Olina. So for whatever reason, they've decided to really give these a really high point premium, something you'll find quite often in a lot of timeshare point-based systems called kind of point inflation, point creep. Those point values for newer resorts go higher and higher and higher because they really can't change the point values all that much higher at those older legacy resorts. Anytime they come up with a new one, well, chances are it's going to cost more. They probably think, well, hey, these are in downtown Waikiki, great location, but really the resort at Ko-Olina is probably far superior. Now I took a look at some of the cash-based stays on Marriott.com just to kind of get an idea of how much they're charging for cash, and then ultimately we're going to kind of compare this to the maintenance fee cost if you were to book with points. So cash stays for those kind of lower seasons, I looked specifically at October. While a studio was anywhere from kind of $379 to $404, depending on what day of the week you stayed. Obviously, weekend was going to be higher. Those weeknights probably a little bit lower. In the high season, well, I took a look at some dates in early 2025, and that came to $511. Looks like the price was about the same whether it was a weeknight or a weekend. Now, the 1 bedroom, those for low season were anywhere from $565 to $716. Again, depends on the night you stay. And the higher season, anywhere from $698 to $884. So just kind of gives you an idea of how much they're charging for this Marriott Vacation Club Waikiki property when you're paying with cash. And those, in fact, were discounted rates if you're a Bonvoy member. I think it said 20% off for those rates that I was looking at. Because if we kind of take a look at the cost based on maintenance fees, well, this is kind of where we see some really big differences with booking with cash or booking with points. Now, when I took and calculated these prices using points, I also kind of had to kind of calculate in that Hawaii timeshare occupancy tax, because if you book with points or you book a timeshare based stay when you stay at a property in Hawaii, I believe it's about 13.5% based off of 50% of the maintenance fee value. So that's kind of where I come up with these numbers. So it's the points times the maintenance fee per point, which right now is about 79 cents, I believe. Then we added in that timeshare occupancy tax that I've kind of calculated in separately. So if we look at kind of a low season studio during a weekday, well, the total kind of maintenance fee cost, it comes out to $273, where if you book with cash, it's $404. And we'll jump over here and take a look at a 1 bedroom during prime season. And essentially that looks like for a weeknight, 750 points, I calculated the total kind of maintenance fee cost and those taxes to be about $590, whereas a cash stay was $884. So in pretty much most cases here, you're going to be cheaper to book it with points, even as expensive as those points are. So given the number of points or even the cash cost, I don't think this is a property that really most people or a lot of people are going to go and stay for an entire week or longer. Probably going to want to spend maybe your week at Marriott's Ko-Olina. Maybe then you have an early flight out from the airport and want to try out the property in downtown Waikiki. Or maybe you're just transitioning between islands, or maybe you're flying back to Oahu to fly home and you want to kind of have a layover night. Well, this I think is pretty much a good property to use your points at to maybe save on those additional cash expenditures. Just use your points, stay here. Like I said, might not be somewhere you would want to stay for an entire week and spend a big bundle of points when you can get a bigger room for probably about the same amount of points over at Ko or even one of the other properties in Hawaii. So I'm kind of curious, are you excited to stay here at this brand new property in Waikiki? So as you think about your thoughts of this new property, I'd really like you to check out this video here. It's what is the best timeshare systems to buy or own. Head over there, check that out coming up next. Thanks for watching, and remember, until next time, well, the best destination is always a timeshare.